So you think JRPGs are all about spiky hair and saving the world from yet another god? Wrong. These 10 games went way beyond clichés, mixing heartbreak, absurd mechanics, and stories that hit harder than a crit from Sephiroth. Some are legends, some are hidden blades, but every single one earns its spot. Pokemon finally remembered it's a game about catching monsters, not just knocking out Pidgeys for XP. Legends Arceus drops you in Hisui, the ancient Sinnoh. And suddenly you're not a trainer on a badge quest. You're basically a field researcher trying not to get mauled by an angry Rapidash. Exploration is the star here. Instead of scripted routes, you've got wide-open zones where Pokemon actually live. Some graze, some sleep, some will absolutely wreck you if you get too close. And for once, the Pokeball isn't a cutscene prop. You aim, you throw, you hide in tall grass, and you chain catches back to back. It's fast, it's risky, and it makes filling the Pokédex feel like actual fieldwork. Each entry also has little research tasks, like catch 5, see it use this move, sneak up from behind, and that push you to experiment instead of just grinding levels. Battles blend in seamlessly. So, no fade to black, no, wait, let's battle. Just toss your Pokemon and the fight begins right there. The new strong and agile styles give you a bit of tactical spice. Hit harder but slower, or go lighter to maybe steal an extra turn. And then there are the noble Pokemon fights, half monster battle, half dodge roll boss encounter, that feel more like an action RPG than classic Pokemon. Mountable creatures also change how you explore. Riding a deer across plains, surfing rivers, or diving into the sky, it all adds to that sense of discovery. Sure, the Switch wheezes under the weight of all this, but the freedom, the loop, the danger, it's the breath of fresh air the series didn't know it needed. So, Tales of Symphonia, the game where you start thinking you're just tagging along with some chosen one cliché, and then it slaps you with a double world, shady churches, half-elves treated like dirt, and enough betrayals to make you question who's actually on your side. But here's where it really hooks you. The combat. Real-time battles on a 2D plane inside 3D arenas, where every art and combo feels satisfying. You're not waiting on turns, you're juggling enemies, unleashing flashy unison attacks, and yeah, you can drag up to 3 friends in for full co-op chaos. For a JRPG, that's practically witchcraft. Exploration also keeps things lively. There is no random encounters, and monsters roam the field, daring you to smack them first. And the customization? You're tweaking AI strategies, slotting X gems, chasing titles that actually change stat growth, and digging into side quests like the infamous Sword Dancer hunt, or unlocking those Devil's Arms weapons that turn your late game into pure destruction. The story runs long, with 40 hours easy, and while dungeons toss you light puzzles with that sorcerer's ring, it's the party banter that steals the show. Skits pop up constantly, letting characters bounce off each other in ways that make them feel like a real crew instead of JRPG archetypes glued together. Visually, it went for cel-shaded anime back in 2003, and honestly, it aged way better than most realistic RPGs from that era. The GameCube version's 60 FPS battles are still the gold standard, with later ports dragging at 30 FPS. But regardless of where you play, it's the mix of high-energy combat and a cast you actually care about that cements Symphonia as one of the JRPG greats. Imagine taking a beat-em-up crime saga and saying, yeah, let's make it Dragon Quest. That's like a dragon. Ichiban goes from low-level thug to wannabe hero, literally picturing his street fights as turn-based JRPG battles, and somehow, it works. Combat here isn't just stand in line and trade slaps. Positioning matters. You can time guards for less damage. And your squad's skills pull from a job system unlocked at, of all places, the unemployment office. Want to swap your buddy into an idol, a chef, or even a breakdancer? Go ahead. Each job changes how they fight, and mixing builds is half the fun. And when all else fails, you can just call in a summon on your phone and watch a giant crawfish obliterate the enemy lineup. But what keeps you hooked isn't just the mechanics, it's the heart. Ichiban's this lovable idiot with a code of honor, and the crew around him feels more like family than any stat screen ever shows. The story also hits that Yakuza sweet spot. Heavy drama about loyalty and corruption, right next to karaoke duets and a chicken that can run your business empire. Speaking of business, yeah, there's a full management sim here where you're climbing corporate ranks, only to fight shareholders in absurd verbal showdowns. It's ridiculous, it's grindy, and it's the exact kind of side content that makes you forget the main quest for hours. Sure, the difficulty spikes late game force you into some arena grinding, but by then, you're too invested to care. Like a dragon proves that reinvention doesn't have to mean losing your soul, it just means you found a new way to swing. Chrono Trigger, just a little side project made by the creator of Final Fantasy, the creator of Dragon Quest, and the guy who drew Dragon Ball. No big deal, right? Except it basically redefined what a JRPG could be. Instead of random battles every 3 steps, enemies are visible on the map, and fights kick off seamlessly, fast, clean, and years ahead of its time. Combat runs on an active time system, but here's the kicker: positioning matters. Line up 2 enemies and suddenly Frog and Chrono pull off a devastating combo. Stack 3 party members? You unlock the famous triple techs, which are as flashy as they are satisfying. And the story doesn't just move forward, it jumps across eras. One moment you're fist-fighting dinosaurs in prehistory, the next you're unraveling political schemes in a medieval castle, and then, just casually, you're watching the end of the world in the distant future. And the game doesn't waste your time. It's brisk, tightly written, and then throws in New Game Plus, letting you chase down 13 different endings. The cast also sticks with you. Frog's tragic honor, Robo's humanity, Megus's redemption arc, each capped with optional quests that dig deeper into who they are. And underscoring all of it, Yasunori Mitsuda's legendary soundtrack. Tracks like Corridors of Time are still considered untouchable, the kind of music that instantly teleports you back to 1995 no matter where you are. 30 years later, Chrono Trigger isn't just remembered, it's still teaching RPGs how to be timeless. Turns out saving a continent from war isn't enough. Now you also have to make sure your students eat their vegetables and pass exams. Fire Emblem Three Houses throws you into the role of a professor, mixing high-stakes strategy with the daily grind of lesson plans and monastery chores. And somehow, against all odds, it's completely addictive. Three Houses drops you into Greg Mac Monastery, where you pick a house and that choice completely changes the story. You're not just grinding XP, you're managing classes, bonding with students over shared meals, and watching them grow from nervous rookies into battlefield monsters. It's part Persona, part chess, and all dangerously addictive. Combat ditches the old weapon triangle and instead leans on weapon durability, class flexibility, and combat arts. Add battalions and gambits, and fights suddenly feel less like duels and more like clashes of armies. Divine Pulse lets you rewind mistakes, saving you from the classic whoops, permadeath reset, but don't think that makes it easy. The game still punishes bad strategy, especially on higher difficulties or in paralog battles. But what really hooks you are the characters and the branching narrative. The time skip halfway through flips the table, turning schoolyard rivalries into all-out war. Themes of loyalty, politics, and messy morality hit hard, and replaying different routes feels less like repetition and more like uncovering hidden truths. Visually, the cel-shaded style nails the anime look, and the full voice acting gives every student, knight, and schemer real personality. Performance wobbles in the monastery, but honestly, you'll be too busy listening to Edelgard plot or Claude crack a smile to care. And the music? From quiet monastery days to god-shattering star blasting mid-battle, it's legendary JRPG soundtrack territory.
You saved me.
Tokyo just imploded into a giant demonic snow globe called the Vortex World, and somehow you're the unlucky guy who gets turned into a half-demon with tattoos glowing like neon signs. Welcome to Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. The game's heart is the press-turn system. Land a critical or hit an enemy's weakness and you gain extra actions. Miss or get reflected, and say goodbye to your entire turn. It's brutal, but once you get it, every fight feels like a chess match played at gunpoint. Add in demon recruitment, where negotiations swing from join me to give me money then die. And you're constantly rebuilding your squad through clever fusion. Your own powers come from Magatama, which are parasites that shift your stats, resistances, and skills. Equip the wrong one in the wrong fight? Yeah, enjoy the game over screen. The dungeons are long, hostile, and dripping with atmosphere. The infamous Matador boss? He's not just a difficulty spike, he's a tutorial disguised as a beatdown, forcing you to master buffs and debuffs or perish. And the deeper you go, the more the game pushes its philosophy-heavy story, where reasons, which are competing ideologies for shaping a new world, lock you into morally gray choices that define your ending. And then there's the soundtrack. Shoji Meguro's mix of pounding rock riffs, eerie synths, and unsettling organ themes turns every random battle and every empty hallway into a fever dream. It's weird, stylish, and unforgettable, just like the game itself. Ys 8? Oh yeah, just another game where Ad'll wake up shipwrecked on a random island. Except this one makes you actually care. You're not just swinging swords, you're building a whole community of castaways, rescuing people who then set up shops, cook meals, or help defend the camp from raids. Every time the village grows, you feel it. Then there's the combat. Forget clunky turn-based menus. This is real-time action that begs you to play aggressive. Swap between 3 characters instantly, chain flashy skills, and if you time a dodge or parry perfectly, boom, flash move or flash guard. The world slows down, enemies get shredded, and suddenly you feel like you're running on pure gamer adrenaline. It's fast, smooth, and so dangerously addictive you'll lose hours without realizing. Exploration hits just as hard. The island of Siren is massive, with areas locked behind traversal gear, so when you finally get that double jump or climbing glove, backtracking doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like Christmas morning. And while Adol's red-headed adventurer shticks keeps things moving, it's Dana who steals the spotlight. Her storyline in a parallel timeline gives the game real emotional weight, slowly revealing the mystery of the island and the whole Lacrimosa cycle. And yes, the soundtrack? Pure Falcom JDK magic. Sunshine Coastline and Deadly Temptation, these are the kind of songs you'll catch yourself humming when you're not even playing. Sure, the visuals won't win awards and some side quests feel like errands, but none of that matters once the combat clicks and the story hooks you. This isn't just another Ys. It's the game that made people finally start putting the series on their top JRPG lists. Hey guys, do me a solid and smash the hype button. Then drop a comment with your favorite pick for the next part of this series. I check and reply to all of them. They both feed the almighty algorithm and push this channel forward, and honestly, it's hands down the best way you can help the channel grow. And of course, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button so you won't miss the next one. Star Ocean: The Second Story R is the kind of remake that makes you wonder why Square doesn't do this with more of its classics. Instead of just slapping on a filter and calling it a day, they rebuilt the PS1 gem into a gorgeous 2.5D world, where HD sprites pop against cinematic 3D backdrops. The setup is classic JRPG sci-fi meets fantasy. You pick Claude, a rookie space officer who accidentally beams down to the wrong planet, or Rena, a local girl with mysterious powers. 2 leads mean 2 perspectives, different party members, and yep, up to 99 possible endings depending on who you recruit and how you handle those private actions. Combat ditched random encounters, and enemies now roam the field, daring you to smack them in real time. The new break system punishes enemies by cracking their guard wide open, and assault actions let you tag in benched allies, or even legacy Star Ocean heroes for flashy screen-clearing cameos. Add in a bonus gauge that stacks buffs if you play smart, and you've got a system that feels fast, fluid, and dangerously fun. Then there's the rabbit hole of item creation. You can cook, craft, and basically break the economy if you know what you're doing. It's hilariously abusable, and the game doesn't stop you. Pair that with full fast travel, autosave, and a modern UI, and you get a classic that finally plays at today's pace. And the soundtrack? Motoi Sakuraba's score is here in both original and fully rearranged orchestral form. The new recordings hit hard, but the option to swap back instantly is just chef's kiss for fans. Nier Replicant is basically Square Enix saying, "Remember that weird cult RPG from 2010? Yeah, we made it actually feel good to play. You're a young man out to save your sister Yona from a disease," which sounds straightforward, until Yoko Taro does what he always does and rips your heart out with plot twists that make you question everything. The first hours throw you into monster hunts and errand-like side quests, but the further you go, the more the story mutates. By the time you roll credits the first time, you realize you've only seen half the truth. Replay, and suddenly those mindless enemies start talking, and their screams hit different when you know what they are. Then you push further, routes C, D, and the brand new ending E, each layering tragedy, redemption, and one last gut punch you didn't think the game still had in it. Combat? This isn't the stiff PS3 version anymore. Platinum Games' fingerprints are all over it, with fluid combos, dodges, lock-on, and magic blasts that mix seamlessly with swordplay. One minute you're slashing in tight third person, the next you're in a 2D side-scroll or a top-down bullet hell section, and somehow it works. Toss in word buffs and weapon collecting, and you've got depth without overcomplication. And then there's the soundtrack. Kiichi Okabe and Emmy Evans deliver one of the most haunting and celebrated scores in JRPG history. So good it literally won Best Music at the Game Awards. Ethereal vocals, tragic melodies. It doesn't just complement the story, it is the story's emotional core.
He's mine, you idiots!
It would appear we are not the focus of her anger.
Guess not.
Final Fantasy Tactics drops you straight into Ivalice, a land where betrayal is cheaper than a potion and every noble's smile hides a knife. This isn't your usual JRPG fairy tale. Ramza and Delita's story is pure political theater, where friendship and ideals get chewed up in the gears of war. On the battlefield, it's all about angles, timing, and a job system so flexible it feels like Square handed you the dev kit. Want a monk that heals with fists or a knight that hurls fireballs? Go for it. Each unit evolves through dozens of jobs, stacking skills like Lego bricks, letting you craft squads that reflect your own twisted tactical imagination. And then there's Brave and Faith, hidden stats that literally determine whether your soldiers cower in fear or become lightning gods. High risk, high reward, and yes, sometimes high blood pressure. Of course, the game is famous for its difficulty spikes. Remember Dorter Trade City? A slaughterhouse. Or the Wiegraf duel in Tevelius. That's the point where casual players realize the game doesn't care if you're having fun, it only cares if you planned ahead. But when you overcome those moments, it feels legendary. And we can't ignore the music. Hitoshi Sakimoto and Masaharu Iwata delivered a soundtrack that doesn't just accompany battles, it crowns them. Trisection alone is etched into the memory of anyone who's touched a tactics game since. It's the sound of strategy becoming war, and it still hits hard decades later. Dragon Quest XI looks like a bright, cheerful cartoon, but don't be fooled, this thing will eat 100 hours of your life before you even realize it. You step into the shoes of the Luminary, another chosen hero, and yeah, it sounds cliché, but give it time. The story starts safe, then flips the table halfway through, and by the postgame, it's pulling off twists most JRPGs only dream about. The secret weapon, though, is the party. Eric, the rogue you'd trust with your life but not your wallet, Sylvando steals every scene. And Veronica, well, let's just say size doesn't matter when she's nuking bosses with firestorms. The combat hits that sweet spot between simple and strategic. Turn-based battles keep the classic feel, but pep powers, which are those flashy combo moves when characters get hyped up, shake things up in style. Layer on branching skill trees, a forge system that lets you craft gear anywhere, and optional draconian quest challenges that crank the difficulty way past casual mode, and you've got depth without the grind dragging you down. And this is the definitive edition, which actually means something. Full orchestral soundtrack replaces the old MIDI tracks, voice acting in Japanese and English, speed-up options for battles, whole new side stories that flesh out the cast, even an alternate 2D mode that makes the entire game look like a lost Super Nintendo classic. It's comfort food JRPG design polished to a mirror shine, and the crazy part is how modern it still feels while never letting go of its old-school soul. Now we have Grandia 2. And yeah, it's the one where your main hero is a mercenary who hates everything and everyone, until he's suddenly babysitting a church girl who's basically the definition of pure. Except she also shares a body with a winged demoness that talks back, flirts, and occasionally wrecks entire battlefields. Subtle? Not even close. Enter Ryudo, Elena, and Millennia, an odd trio dragging us through one of the sharpest JRPG stories of its era. But the real star? Combat. Grandia 2 took turn-based battles and said, what if we actually made you pay attention? Every action runs along a timeline. Hit an enemy at just the right moment with a critical, and you cancel their spell or special move. Wait too long, and you're eating a screen-filling explosion. Positioning matters, timing matters, and bosses hit hard enough that you can't just mash through. Then there's the cast. Ryudo's sarcasm is a constant highlight, and his bird sky might be the best comic relief partner of the Dreamcast era. The supporting crew, like Marig, Rowan, and Tio, round things out. But it's the Elena/Millennia dynamic that steals the spotlight, balancing faith, corruption, and temptation in a way JRPGs rarely dared at the time. And yes, the soundtrack. Noriyuki Iwadare went full legendary here, with battle tracks that burn into your memory and softer themes that still hit decades later. Pair that with surprisingly strong English voice acting, with Jennifer Hale, Cam Clark, Jodie Benson, and you've got a JRPG package that's stuck in people's heads long after the Dreamcast's demise.
Go forward, Pride of the Sands.
8 strangers, 8 stories, and yes, this time it's less awkward when they pretend to know each other. You drop into Celestia, a dual-continent world where day and night flip with a button press. And it's not just cosmetic. NPCs change, path actions swap, and suddenly your thief can pickpocket at noon and mug people at midnight. Add a personal boat for island hopping, and guild licenses that let you mess with secondary jobs, and exploration feels way more alive than in the first game. Combat? That's where it really sings. The break and boost system returns, still rewarding you for cracking defenses and timing bursts. But now each character has a latent power, which is basically a signature move that turns the tide. Hikari channels enemy skills, Ochette captures beasts, and Casti cooks up free concoctions when her gauge fills. Mix in X skills and secondary jobs, and boss fights become this constant puzzle of how do I line up the perfect nuke turn before they wipe me? It's brutal, but in that just one more attempt way. The stories are still 8 separate arcs, but the writing's sharper, the banter more natural, and the crossed paths chapters finally let characters bounce off each other. It's not a perfectly woven epic, but the edges feel smoother. And visually, the HD 2D style has never looked better. With richer lighting, more cinematic angles, everything dripping with confidence. And then there's the soundtrack. Yasunori Nishiki delivered a score that's straight up unforgettable. Battle themes and late-game climaxes hit like a freight train, the kind of music you catch yourself humming days later. Octopath Traveler 2 doesn't just polish the first, it flexes hard with some of the best turn-based combat in the genre.
Here I come. It's over.
Here I go. Society, but we shape our own destiny.
Metaphor is just another Atlas game with a stylish UI and some turn-based battles, right? Totally wrong. This thing goes way beyond that. Metaphor Refantasio drops you into a kingdom on the edge of collapse, where the king's been assassinated and a brutal election decides who takes the throne. You're not just swinging swords, you're running a political campaign, rallying tribes who hate each other, breaking through prejudice, and building alliances that actually matter. It's Persona's DNA, sure, but Atlas tossed the school calendar and gave you freedom to breathe. Bonds with allies called followers still fuel your growth, but they're tied to character arcs that shape the world, not just a test score. And combat's a rush. Trash mobs? You can slice through them in real time. But boss fights shift into a cinematic turn-based slugfest where one bad call can end your run. But the real star is the archetype system, with over 40 classes branching into advanced forms and builds that make Final Fantasy's job system look tame. You can experiment endlessly, and it's absurdly rewarding when a setup finally clicks. Presentation is Atlas showing off. Menus explode with color, battles look like animated paintings, and the UI feels like it was designed to flex at GDC. And then there's Shoji Meguro's soundtrack, towering choral chants, battle themes with invented languages, and enough energy to make even random encounters feel like boss fights. Critics didn't just like it, they crowned it. It walked away with multiple awards at the Game Awards, including Best RPG and Best Narrative, and even snagged Game of the Year from some outlets. And to finish with a bang, Mother 3. Just a cute little GBA RPG that decides to punch you straight in the heart while you're distracted by its pixel-perfect charm. It's the follow-up to Earthbound, but instead of quirky alien invasions, you're thrown into a story about family, loss, and a rural village slowly devoured by modern greed. Itoi wasn't kidding when he called it strange, funny, and heartrending. The game splits into chapters, showing different perspectives before everything centers on Lucas, the quiet kid forced into the role of reluctant hero. Alongside the tomboy Kumatora, the thief Duster, and your loyal dog Boney, you watch the simple life of Tazmily get twisted into the neon nightmare of New Pork City, all thanks to the ever-horrifying Porky. It's equal parts absurd comedy and gut-punch tragedy, often in the same scene. Combat looks like standard turn-based JRPG fare, until you realize damage can chain into 16-hit combos if you press buttons in rhythm with the soundtrack. That's right, every single enemy theme becomes a hidden rhythm game. You can even put foes to sleep just to hear the beat more clearly. Add in the rolling HP meter from Earthbound, where you can survive fatal blows if you act fast enough, and fight stays surprisingly tense. Visually, it's gorgeous for the GBA, with vibrant sprites, charming animations, and a playful style masking the story's darker edges. And then there's the soundtrack. Shogo Sakai's work isn't just good, it's monumental. Over 250 tracks with the love theme becoming one of the most iconic melodies in RPG history. If you're still with me, the link to the playlist is popping up in the card right now. And before you go, don't forget to smash the hype button, leave a comment, and hit sub so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the comments section.